Sup Shredders, my name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to an SP Reacts, where today we have ourselves a track from an act named Yonatron titled Sands of Time. And if we switch over to here, this is yet more really solid tunes from Yonatron. We've heard a few of theirs recently. I think the last track that I reviewed from this act was Abyss, and we're going to listen through Sands of Time from start to finish, and we're going to hear what we think. Let's go, let's do it. It's so heavy. The use of harmonic and melodic minors in those guitar parts are fantastic as well. What I will say is you could have potentially have had some cleans and the growls here. Maybe the cleans on the first time and then had the growls come in for the second time. But I think having the fry in the chorus is good too. Great use of industrial synths, the drums, the guitar, etc. And the hearts of the faithful where hope's alive. This is an interesting track, man. I like this. I think the story is intriguing. It's just smart to come down to a sequencer here. Interesting. I kind of understand what's going on here. I think, honestly, even if I had no idea what the song was about, I enjoyed my time with it, dude. Kind of trying to take in the Transylvanian Tower here, but But that fade out there was really classy with the bell curve kind of going down. And we're going to talk about this track more in the conclusion. Because welcome to the conclusion of my review of this track from an act named Yonatron titled Sands of Time. Now, what do I think this track is about? I think the song is talking about the way that people's lives and their actions and their love and their faith and their feelings and all these kind of things get lost in time. The journey's there. There's a sense of heaviness to it, maybe the feelings of anguish and everything like that. When we talk earlier on about being bound by faith and darkness taking its toll and everything like that, so you get the feeling that at least initially things were pretty sort of like shocking and horrific for everyone involved. It's almost like our pathway forward is measured in those sands of time, and it's just simply a waiting game to see if we can get away from that. So I think basically to sort of summarize, it seems like it's more sort of related to a group of people who are maybe like spiritual or religious people who are going through some horrific stuff. They meet the face of death. Maybe this is their journey through purgatory, trying to find a way through the mire and the mist to a better place. And they're just sort of like, they're suffocating and struggling through it. And they just want to find their rest. So it's an interesting tale. I think that one of the things I appreciate is just the visceral nature of the vocals within this. It not only works really well for the genre, but it also sort of, I think, exemplifies the feelings and expression they're trying to sort of portray with what the words mean. I mean, like you listen to it, it's heavy stuff. Like you talk about the people feeling the face of death. It's not just kind of scary and spooky and stuff like that. There's a real sense of pain and fear and anguish to it. Like a real gargantuan monolithic task is being undertaken, and we are having to sort of like face that so that we can get to the end of it. I think that personally, it would have been nice to have had some sort of cleaner parts very occasionally, but simply having that kind of like harshness to it through the entire time kind of represents the fact that potentially, no matter how much time we take to get from point A to point B, we're left in a position where we are going to have a rough time regardless. It's just simply a viewpoints or perspectives that change regardless of the sort of perceived damage and sort of chaos and the danger of it. The pain being caused. So I think that the vocals are appropriate. In addition to the way that it was sung, I just think it's a really intriguing composition. I mean, at 3 minutes 02, it's full of lots of interesting different guitarists, little palm muted kind of alternate picks, sort of chuggy parts there, some progressive death metal-ish kind of genty stuff occasionally working with those low 8 strings there. It kind of reminds me of music from like the Doom video game a little bit, And we pair those off, and amongst these sort of synth sequences that bounce around the place and actually have their own sort of time to shine a little bit later on, that interlude section there, where there's almost kind of somber in comparison to the ferocity of the kicks and sort of drum and guitar and bass patterns earlier. We almost allow ourselves to kind of sit there and sort of ponder the intermission before we go into that final place, wondering if we're going to reach the end. I think the bass and drum parts themselves were fairly effective. The bass sort of more supportive of the root notes put forward by those guitar and different synth or key parts, and the drums. Just a wide array of articulate, really enthralling, different sort of like double kick, snare, and cymbal patterns with some fills in there as well. Just, it's incredibly quick, proficient work on the kit at a steady pace, played very well without any issues. And I think that generally there was a sense of chemistry with the various elements involved. We never felt like anything was too alien or out of place, and I appreciate that, because especially when there's just so much going on, it can get to a point where it's almost too much, even if that's the point. You know what I mean? So I feel like we found a balance there, especially coming down at the end for that dynamic there, like that interlude, should I say. I think finally, it's the use of those scale shapes, the melodic or harmonic minors, kind of remind me of like the Middle East kind of Arabian Nights kind of thing. And you think of sands of time, and you can kind of imagine the sand with that scale shape. And it's little things like those note or melody choices there, melodic decisions there that can almost sort of help you visualize what's going on without even needing the video necessarily. It's just understanding what sort of scales and motifs and are associated with which tone, and playing around with expectations and using them to your advantage. So I think ultimately with the actual note choices, the minor and sort of melodics and naturals as well there, alongside the actual instrumental performance and structure of it, and the vocals, I feel like this was quite a well-rounded take. The production was also very good. I've spoken about how I might have wanted some sort of clean vocals as a contrast, like a little bit in those chorus sections, but it's also okay to have them just be kind of the gritty ones. And ultimately, I just feel like this is a great use of 3 minutes. At this point in time, I feel comfortable listening to a Yonatron track, at least with their kind of like harder metal stuff. I feel like I'd have a good time with it. So thank you very much for watching my review of this track from an act named Yonatron, titled Sam's of Time, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show us some love via the various social medias and the YouTube page, and stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as you need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on. And I'll catch you in the next SB Reacts. Spiderhands out.